If you had asked me in the beginning of these chapters that the Y-Man would have saved us, I would have been like, you've lost your mind. Hey guys, welcome back to Everything Anime Podcast. I'm your host Shinry, here at the Everything Anime Podcast. I've been from anime, manga, video games, TV shows, and over on the top of what I'm talking about. Today's video is on Dr. Stone, chapters 191 to 196. The Y-Man saved us, and so does Sukia? So, when we last left off, I had made a video talking about how I believe there's only 3 Dr. Stone videos left. One where, Sukia revives everybody. 2 where we get to the moon and face the Y-Man. And 3, I do the resolve and, the ending of Dr. Stone with the tier list. However, I thought Dr. Stone ended at 205 chapters. That's because I was confusing it with Demon Slayer. When I was reading Demon Slayer, Dr. Stone, and Tokyo Ghoul all at once concurrently, as well as, Black Clover, One Piece, and Black Clover. But, yeah, so Dr. Stone was actually 232 chapters. So we're not actually anywhere close to the ending of Dr. Stone, but I just want to start that video updating that. Now, where we had actually left off for Dr. Stone, Fort Medusa was getting attacked by Stanley and his group. He already started gunning down our people. And then back in Corn City, we had our group, our Kingdom of Science, attacking their Kingdom of Science because we had to get our hands back on the Medusa weapon. Now that Joel has found a way to activate it, now that we have the power of the Medusa weapon in the palm of our hands. So that's where we're currently at. Now, obviously, this would be a slaughter on our side in Corn City because the Kingdom of North America, on Dr. Zeno's side, they have guns. We have spears, we have bows, we have primitive weapons. So obviously we're gonna lose. But their true plan is revealed by Magma as he commands 1,000 meters 1 second. We weren't planning to just attack them outright. We were planning to activate the Medusa weapon and petrify everybody right then and there. But unfortunately, you have to be very close to Medusa weapon to activate it. So even though Magma, and I love that Magma was the one that did it, even though Magma shouted out what our plan was, he was way too far from the Medusa weapon to activate it. Who confirms that this is a desperate plan to save everybody. We are risking even getting them killed, because once they know that we're trying to activate the Medusa weapon and petrify everybody, they're gonna gun down everybody in Corn City as well. They're not gonna let you guys get near the Medusa weapon. So this is desperation to this point. But when they start attacking Corn City to get their hands on the Medusa weapon, Yo is among the first people hit. And again, Senku incentivizes this is the only way. Some of you guys may die, but we hope that, once you'll survive long enough to be petrified along with all of humanity, and we can still save you because the Medusa weapon can do that. So it's not that Farquaad from Shrek, some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I want to make. It's not that dark.
Shall have the honor, no, the privilege to go forth and rescue the lovely Princess Fiona from the fiery keep of the dragon. If, for any reason, the winner is unsuccessful, the first runner-up will take his place, and so on and so forth. Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
But it is, you are having to sacrifice yourself to get your hands on this Medusa weapon in hopes that it activates. Dr. Brody is briefly afraid, but is aware that we're after the Medusa weapon. And he tries to hide the Medusa weapon, but Mozu is on him and sends it hurling into the air using the move that Hyoga taught him. I love that that Mozu is still using Hyoga's teachings. We saw him do it in the battle with the Kingdom of North America originally, but I like that Mozu was still holding true to Hyoga's teaching. It really shows that Mozu is a part of our Kingdom of Science. The Medusa weapon flings us in the air into a free fall, and I love that Hamura, our gymnast, is immediately on it. I love how that came back into play because early on we learned that Hamura was a gymnast whenever it was Kohaku versus Hamura back in the the Stone Wars. They were fighting each other, and we found out Hamura's a gymnast. So I thought okay, this is how we get the Medusa weapon back in our hands. This is how we activate it. But it would appear the power struggle is not over that easily because they light up Hamura's arms and legs oh my god, it was it's so crazy to see these characters we love get like shot up like this. And then once again, it's a scramble and a bloodbath to get our hands on the Medusa weapon. So everybody's desperate. Everybody's panicking. Like everybody wants to get their hands on Medusa weapon because whoever controls it controls the war. It controls the tide of war right now. They know that Fort Medusa is under attack by Stanley Snyder for sure, and they know, like, you know, from getting the message from Senku and the fact that they're trying to get their hands on Medusa weapon now, they're like, okay, we know what everybody's trying to do. Everybody's trying to get their hands on Medusa weapon right now. In the final struggle, though, it's Magma who gets his hands on the Medusa weapon, and I was curious before I turned the page if this was finally going to be it. I was like, is Magma the one who shouted it? Is he going to be the one that saves all humanity? Nope, he gets lit up too. That really shocked me. I thought it was over. I thought Magma, that's what I mean. Like, Dr. Stone is like literally check, and then finally checkmate. Like, whoever actually ends the thing is the one that wins. And man, it is devastating again. I must repeat myself that we've come this far to see all these characters we love get shot up and killed like this. They're all bloodied and massacred. And a nice touching detail is that Dr. Brody's crying over all of them. Dr. Brody is not really a pacifist. He's doing what he thinks is right, but he did like feel bad. Like, these are teenagers, these are children, like, and we're fighting basically a war when we all should be working together. Like, Dr. Brody was like, you gotta remember the sense of reason that, like, he agreed with Nikki, like, okay, we'll work together to find out how the Medusa weapon works and revive 1 million people. Dr. Brody was willing to work as a team. But he did say Stanley Snyder would not do this. But the fact that, like, he's like, we can't let ourselves get repetrified either. Or, I understand the logic, but he's crying, and I think that's a nice detail. But no, there was one other person still alive, and I was like, I'm so happy because I was like, it cannot end this way. I was not expecting it, though, to be Joel. That was a great surprise. I like that Joel was the one that was still alive. He and Dr. Brody have one more excruciating tussle over the Medusa weapon where he crushes his arm with a freaking wheel. He, like, twists Joel's arm that's caught up. Like, Joel grabs Medusa weapon, it's in between the spill, and then Dr. Brody twists his arm. It's fucking brutal, man. It's fucking crazy. I was like, that is some dark shit. This is some Tokyo Ghoul level shit, this part of the Dr. Stone story. And then they have one more discussion where Dr. Brody is kind of taunting him, but I already knew what was going to happen. I was like, it's obvious. Like, Joel's watch is probably on the other side of that Medusa weapon. Joel's watch that was receiving like, the transmission from Senku. So I expected Senku to be the one to shout the command through Joel's watch, and that would petrify all of them. But Dr. Brody didn't realize that just yet. The hand that got crushed was indeed Joel's watch, and all he needed was someone to make the command from the other side. But it's not who I was thinking it was. It wasn't Senku that sent the message out. The greatest twist of all was that Joel was relying on the Y-Man's continuous radio transmission to repeatedly repetrify all of humanity to save them all. And I was like, that is a god-tier twist. Because remember, back at the end of the Kingdom of Petrification, we found out that transmission from the moon was sending out the command, basically 1 second, the whole diameter of Earth. It was the Y-Man using Senku's voice, a replication of Senku's voice, to repetrify all of humanity. And I was like, the fact that Joel was relying on that transmission to activate, to repetrify all of them was crazy. Now, what I was confused about is like, you only have one tiny Medusa weapon. Did you reactivate all the Medusa weapons? Or is it that the power of that one Medusa weapon can reactivate all the Medusa weapons? I was curious if that's how that works. Because it will repetrify all of humanity. But still, it was an incredible ending. We could have stopped there. This could have been the end of that video. That Y-Man saved all of humanity. But I was like, I felt like we should keep going. But we're going to take a brief moment to appreciate this twist. This is the greatest twist. This is better than the twist in Boruto. This is a twist. That is great. The following panel is something incredible, like something out of Dragon Ball Z, as the entry from the Medusa weapon rains down all over Earth. It's like a giant beam wave. It looks really fucking incredible. It really does mirror something that you see like in action anime. Like, Dr. Stone is a shonen anime. You don't really get that many fights, but when you do get fights, the Dr. Stone fights are incredible. Also, apparently, this one Medusa weapon has a power to petrify all of humanity. This is where I mentioned that, as I said before. But it might have, like I said, reactivated all the Medusa weapons like that were in the pyramid. But hey, I'm all for it. because Senku and others at Fort Medusa are relying on it. We're also Tsukasa, Kawaku, and Hyoga, who died, are also relying on the Medusa weapon to reach them. Now, once again, in a continued range of crazy twists, Senku successfully, once again, is shot by Stanley Snyder. Oh, yeah, so Stanley Snyder, he managed to get a shot off on Senku again. Well, no. Yeah, he did shoot Senku the first time, but he shot him again. And I was like, what the fuck? All these jaw-dropping moments could be like videos themselves. The fact that Senku gets shot after the Medusa weapon is activated, and they can all see the Medusa weapon's light coming. Stanley Snyder's like, still, like, he's like, fuck you. I was like, oh, Dr. Stone is so fucking good, man. I hope you guys are getting hyped from Dr. Stone like I am. Thankfully, though, in the nick of time, Medusa's light is spreading all over the world once more. So we can hope that Senku's not going to die. We can believe that Senku might not die from this. Meanwhile, there's another twist. Yukio escaped and freed Francios, Genro, Matsukaze, and Sukia from Stanley Snyder's capture. So Stanley Snyder, who still had them as hostages, Yukio shows up again and saves them with one of his arrows, and he frees all of them. They easily overpower the Sonar Kingdom of North America. I think his name is Leonard. They easily overpower him, and they're preparing to get some revival fluid for themselves to save themselves from repetrification. But again, another good freaking twist. Because, alright, so after Yukio, Francios, Matsukaze, Sukia, and Genro free themselves, they're trying to get like the revival fluid ready to toss in the air because you got Yukio, so Yukio can time it. Like, hey, if we time this right, we can unpetrify ourselves, and we can be there to like revive everybody else on our side. But Zeno was already there. Zeno was on top of them. Zeno was like, oh, I knew you guys would have something up your sleeve like this. Obviously, you guys had some kind of backup plan. And don't forget, Stanley Snyder's still there ready to gun them down. Like, Stanley Snyder and Zeno are now on top of y'all. The brutality that follows is disgusting. They even shot Sukia. They shot a child. And Stanley Snyder said before he would never shoot civilians, but I guess because Zeno's there, he got Zeno back on his side. He's like, well, fuck them. We can't let them unpetrify themselves because they're gonna just leave us turn to stone. It's off screen, respectfully, that Sukia got shot, but I was still like, that's disrespectful. You shot a child. The two cardinal sins in movies and shows is killing a dog or killing children. Those are the two cardinal sins you cannot come back from. Zeno and Stanley Snyder have a charming reunion that would be heartwarming if we're not killing a child in the same breath. Zeno's like, oh, did you take your time saving me because I'm not a damsel in distress, I'm not a woman? And Stanley Snyder's like, shut up, you idiot. At least I came and saved you. It's a heartwarming reunion if they weren't killing children. Again, I had to say that in the same breath. But thankfully, this writer isn't cruel. For one of the revival fluid bottles are already gone, and second, Sukia is alive. Sukia escaped. She did get shot at, but she didn't get shot. She's wounded, but she's alive when she got the revival fluid. And I was like, I love this writer. That's one of my notes. I was like, I love this writer. I love Sukia got away. I love Sukia as our little spy. She managed to get out of there. Fucking loved it. Sukia manages to get one of the revival fluids bottles back to Chrome in the nick of time, who's planning on setting up a mechanism to rain down revival fluid over Senku at any moment in time. Alright, so they set up this mechanism that'll set off the revival fluid at any moment in time. They don't know when. It could happen any moment. But like they're hoping that like it'll rain down on them at a certain point in time where basically they'll come back. But it could be like another 10 years in the future, 7 years in the future, a month, a week, a day. They don't know exactly when. So I was expecting another massive time jump. Maybe not 3,000 years in the future, maybe like 100 years. I didn't know. But I was also hoping like maybe there'd be a time skip where Sukia gets older. Ironically, that happens, but not in the way I thought it would. In desperation, Stanley and Zeno try to get their hands on the revival fluid before the light can hit them. So they're trying to get to the top of this tower, the mechanism, but all of our Kingdom of Science are not letting them move an inch. So they're like, even if you shoot us, even if we die, we're not letting you get your hands on the revival fluid. We're relying on our team to get it and revive themselves so that we can bring each other back. Senku then asks Sukia to get to the top of the tower to push the bottle over and to protect it, which is confusing because of his previous statement. But again, I think I was just reading out of context. But he is relying basically on Sukia to be the one to revive herself. He's like, Sukia, you're going to be the only one that comes back. You're going to be alone, but you have all the resources. We taught you everything that you need to come back and revive yourself and then bring us back. But I also love Sukia's determination. I really love our little spy. I'm going to show her off. Sukia has jumped to S rank tier. I don't know what Sukia's tier was going to be before, but Sukia is now officially S rank tier, just so you guys know. But whatever she's doing once she gets inside the tower, we don't get to see it just yet because the light has reached us and we're all about to be petrified. And I just now realized that Sukia will be the first one to revive. This is in my notes. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is where I realized that Sukia was going to be the first one to revive and hoping to bring the others back. So it was very cool, especially like knowing that like Senku was going to be safe. But in the end, it's checkmate for Senku against Zeno. Another great fucking stopping point and very cool visual. I'm going to make sure we show it off for a few seconds. Again, a lot of these points, a lot of these major points in the story could have been like ending videos. But again, where I think we finally end is even better. Meanwhile, Esler, Luna, the smooth operator, and Chelsea, the geographer, are all alone. And seeing the impending light, they're wondering if they can throw the revival fluid in time to save themselves at the right moment. So I had actually forgot about Luna and Charlotte. They did leave in previous chapters at this point in the video, or in this point of my notes, that they were supposed to be able to self-revive so that they could bring back the rest of the team. So we had relied on several things. We're relying on Sukia, we're relying on Luna and Charlotte, and we also want to keep Luna and Charlotte out of the bloodbath because we didn't even think we could activate the Medusa weapon. However, hilariously, Luna has no faith in her throwing skills because she believes she'll toss it off in the woods. She's like, I ain't got no good throwing arm. I'm gonna just toss it. It's gonna fly off in the wrong direction. And I thought that's pretty funny, especially in the desperate situation we're in. Elsewhere, Zeno embraces the light, calling it elegant, and once again wishing that he and Senku could have ruled the world together like dictators, but as we know, Senku as a child had no interest in that. But I do like that Zeno kind of flips sides back and forth. Zeno's like, one minute he's like, oh, kill these kids, next minute he's like, oh, you know, this is elegant, this is beautiful, you guys did trick me. I think he more like just respects that these kids are able to put him in check so many times and then eventually checkmate. Stanley Sato, however, hasn't given up. He thinks if he can shoot down the bottle in the tower, there's a chance it could splash on one of their allies. However, at the same time, it's a double-edged sword because if he shoots down the revival fluid in the tower where Sukia is at, if it doesn't splash on Sukia and it just falls on the ground, if it doesn't splash on Sukia or if it doesn't splash on his teammates, they're all now fucked. All of them are going to be petrified and there's nobody that can bring them all back. So there's three things that happen. It can hit Sukia. Sukia will self-revive, and then he knows that none of their kingdom of science will be brought back. 2, it can splash on one of his people. They'll be able to use the revival fluid, bring everybody back, including Zeno, and then they'll have one and ultimately dictate the world, rule the world. Or 3, they'll all be fucked because it's a stupid decision, and like all of humanity will be turned to stone. And of course, when I turn the page, this moron's getting ready to take a shot, and I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna fuck everything up. Everybody's gonna be petrified. I don't know what's gonna happen, or maybe he'll bring Sukia back by shooting the bottle, hoping that he hits one of his teammates, but he hit somebody else in our team. And I was like, oh my god, Stanley Sato, you idiot. I do love the shot of how he's drawn, though. It's amazing, and I'm gonna make sure I show it off for a few seconds. Again, this manga artist, I think his name is Yuki Tabata. I might be mixing his name up. That might be the author, Dr. Stone. But anyway, this author is fucking great. I love the detail. Definitely check out Dr. Stone or read it if you guys haven't at this point. But just before he fires, he visions himself as a child with Zeno, and it mirrors the past with Taiju and Senku. And it kind of gets him a change of heart. He's like, you know what? These kids did pretty good. You know what? I'll concede. And he decides not to fire. He knows that one day they will revive all of humanity, including himself and Zeno, because these kids, they don't care about ruling the world. They care about bringing everybody back. They care about science and things like that. Like, they respect science. And since he cares about his best friend, Stanley Snyder, and he doesn't want Stanley to be turned to stone forever, he's like, you know what? These kids are good. I'm willing to, like, not be selfish and not doom all of humanity. Or myself, because obviously you're going to be turned to stone too, stupid. If you shoot the bottle and you don't hit Sukia or don't hit your teammates and you just doom all of humanity because you missed, oh, you hit it, and then like all of us just, the revival fluid don't hit anybody and it misses and it splashes on the ground and it's gone forever, we all just fucked. So we all just going to be turned to stone. You're in eternal slumber. You're in eternal limbo. So I like that Stanley had that realization towards the end. We then flash back over to Ishigami Village and the Kingdom of Petrification, where we see the other friends are preparing to be consumed by the light once more, and some for the first time, because not everybody in the Ishigami Village has ever been turned to stone, and then some of the people in Kingdom of Petrification are used to that because Irabara and Kurosame were abusing that power. So we know, like they're like, we know this must be the work of Senku, so we know he'll bring us all back. And once again, another incredible design shot of the moon looking out at Earth, because we know the white man is up there. And with the Earth being covered in the Medusa's light, we can believe that the white man is smiling down at his own work, thinking like, oh, I beat them again. I don't know how you guys escaped the first time, but you're not escaping this time. So the white man's probably like clapping. I can't wait to see what the white man looks like, and I can't wait to learn his motivations, because I thought this would end in 205 chapters, and the fact that we have 232 means there's a lot that can still happen from here on. So I'm really excited, very excited to see who the white man is and why he did all of this. But back down on Earth, Sukiya's dog and pig aren't affected by the petrification light. We do know that animals aren't affected by the petrification light. We don't know why. We know that birds, specifically swallows, are affected by the petrification light, but we don't know like what the difference is. But they struggle to awaken the humans, and that we can see the desperation in their faces. It's really cute. I thought they'd be the ones to awaken Sukiya, and they do in a way. There's like a lot of factors why Sukiya awakens, and we'll get to that. But I thought they specifically be the ones that awaken Sukiya. But they seem to have some kind of plan, because they too are heroes of science, and I like that they're racing off to like save Sukiya. As the chapter comes to a close, Senku begins counting once more, like full circle, like the beginning of Dr. Stone, and I thought that was an epic full circle. Again, this could be a great ending chapter that the Y Man saved us, but two people saved us. It's Sukiya and the Y Man, so that's how we're going to continue the chapters. We didn't get a glimpse of everyone turned to stone all around the world, which is really cool because, again, it mirrors the beginning of Dr. Stone when everybody got turned to stone. And I want to show it off for a few seconds before a tiger scream triggers the mechanism that that's holding the revival fluid. It got turned to it got crusted a little bit. So the tiger scream, it's like a mixture of things that activate the revival fluid or the mechanism. But the first was the tiger scream. It hilariously scares the tiger, as it screams, and the mechanism seems to be loud enough that it scares the animal, which makes sense because we don't need Sukiya in immediate danger. So one thing I had said in my notes is I'm glad that the tiger got scared off, because if Sukiya got revived and she got faced with a tiger, she's still a child. She can't defend herself against a tiger. But it's also the combination of her dog howling and a lightning strike. It's all these sounds combined together that cause the revival fluid to shake and crack and then splash down onto Sukiya. And Sukiya breaks free in an awesome Dr. Stone fashion. I'll show that off for a few seconds. I like how Sukiya's yeah, I'm back. I did it. I'm revived. And according to Sukiya, it seems like it's only been a few months or maybe a year has passed since she got revived. It's not directly stated, I don't think. But I love how cute and optimistic she is. One inconsistent thing though is everyone who's unpetrified usually has whatever sickness on their body cleared. Sukiya still seems to be blind about her glasses. I mean, it might be retconned later, or it might be explained later, because later in the chapter she doesn't wear glasses, but she makes this squinting eyes face, and usually when you're petrified and then unpetrified, how Tsukasa's sister no longer had that sickness, or a lot of characters when their wounds are healed. So I'm why is Sukiya still seem blind? She should have perfect vision, but she makes that squinting eyes face like she's still blind without glasses. Also, she does not have any current revival fluid yet, but this does really seem to dower her. As we know, she alone can't make it herself. At this point, Sukiya is still a child. She doesn't know how to make the revival fluid herself. But I knew obviously the characters would left her some kind of clues. And then it goes on a sad montage of Sukiya running down to her last bits of food. It's not confirmed how long it's been again, but we can assume it's been some days or weeks since she's talking about running out of food. And I just felt kind of bad. I was Sukiya, she's so sweet, and she's out here all alone in this stone world again. And it's even more heartbreaking as she breaks down into tears, begging for someone to help her. We all know that this will be resolved, but again, it's great storytelling. It makes the story feel more realistic. If you were a child and you were alone in the world, I like that the author's taking his time, giving her time to figure this out without giving her an automatic solution after she got revived, which adds again to some realism in the story. which I probably would have personally done in my story as well, or any great writer would have done. But a cliche author would have been like, "Oh, Sukiya's a ride, and she happened to have revival fluid on her. She automatically brings back Senku, so automatically things are better." But no, where this chapter ends, you'll see why, and it's really great. And with that, it gives her strength and confidence, knowing that Senku once had to go through this twice. Senku was once self-revived, and he was alone until he could bring back Taiju. And then second, Senku was alone in the Kingdom of Petrification when everybody got repetrified, and he was the first one brought back, and he had to bring back people slowly. But then Senku remembered, like, oh, I got people in Ishigami Village. And Suki is like, oh, I'm not alone. Senku went through this, and I really love that. So with that, Sukia sets out to find everyone, hoping that one person might have revival fluid on them. So Sukia at this point is hoping, like, okay, I'm the only one revived, but maybe someone out there, one of the guys, has revival fluid on them, and I could just use that. Again, we don't know how much time has passed, but it's clear maybe a year has passed because monkeys no longer recognize humans. And we know like Senku and the others, as well as people in the Ishigami Village, were alive for a while. So the fact that monkeys don't recognize her again, I'm like, okay, maybe a year has passed or 2 years. And also, Suki doesn't have glasses, so this is the point where I thought, okay, maybe the repetrification did work on Sukia, and so her nearsightedness is gone. But she appears very confident, and she has created her own food and shelter. Very cool, Sukia, because Sukia's like, oh, you guys don't recognize me because you're monkeys. You probably never seen a human before. But don't worry, I'm Sukia the scientist. I'm a human. I really thought that was very cute. And then this is that point where I was wondering if the next time you meet Sukia, will she be around their age? That'd be quite the shocker. Ironically, that is what happens, but it's not in the way you think. But I was like, I wonder how long Sukia will take to figure out how to make revival fluid, and then like maybe she'll be around the age of Senku and the others, and I'll surprise them. But it seems like she's still a child, but might have grown a little. I would have at least done a 10-year time jump. Again, at this point in my notes, that's why I thought she could just make revival fluid while she's still a child and bring them back. But I do like, again, where this all ends. But at that point in my notes, I was like, okay, Suki's going to bring her back. She's going to be a child. So it's going to be a huge time jump. But as we journey with her, she begins monologuing for her friends, imagining what they would say, which I found pretty cute and funny. It reminded me of that scene from I Am Legend, you know, like when Will Smith had made friends with that mannequin. He called him Fred. He was trying to flirt with the other mannequin at the bookstore.
Hey! Morning, Marge. Morning, Fred. What you guys doing here so early? A nice sweatshirt there, Fred. Don't set it down anywhere. I'll see you guys inside. What's happening, brother? Morning, Hank. Midway through the G's. Hey, who's the girl in, never mind. Hey, I'll see you in the morning. What am I supposed to say?
And then that one scene where he's like, Fred, what you doing here, Fred? Because the mannequin had moved outside. We know it was the zombie monster things, but I'm going to show that clip. Hopefully they don't get copyrighted, but I'm going to show that clip in here. So you got...
The hell are you doing out here, Fred? What the hell are you... No! 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 What the hell are you doing out here, Fred? How did you get out here? Fred, if you're real, you better tell me right now. If you're real, you better tell me right now.
have a reference to what I'm talking about. I also love how she finds Kawaku's statue, and she gives her like a big long hug. Like we know Genro and Kenro's relationship, even though it's mostly been off screen, like how much they care about each other. But we also seen like moments with Kohaku and Sukia where like Kawaku really cares about Sukia. Kawaku rushed into battle with the gas mask to save her on the mountain in the Stone Wars. Kawaku raced to save her in the kingdom in just previous chapters. So we know that Sukia and Kohaku have a very strong bond, and I really love small moments like this. And it shows how much these characters care about each other, even though we haven't seen much of it. It's a show, not tell, basically, which is a great thing to do in writing. She's also very intuitive as she uses scientific terms like glue to patch her friends back together, kind of like Yuzu did back in the Stone Wars, like, you know, teaching, like painstakingly putting people back together. Sukia's doing that to her friends. Also, she uses wheels from a tire to gather her friends because they're too heavy for her to drag, which makes sense. Obviously, Sukia is still a child. She can't carry these heavy stone people, and plus they're full-grown adults. She can't carry all of them by herself. So I do like that she's using the things that Senku had taught her. Like as Senku said, like, you know, we use science things that we use the things that other people taught us to like create things. I really love that. I thought it was really good. Despite her feeling alone, she learns to fish for herself and eat, and obviously some other ways to deal with wild animals, I'm sure. I love that Sukia, again, she's not helpless, she's not defenseless. You know, she's learning, she's using the things she's been taught to, like, provide for herself. However, the only two friends she still haven't found are Luna and Chelsea, which means there's a chance that they might have revival fluid on them. Again, remember that Luna was afraid that if she tossed that revival fluid, she might miss. So there was a chance that Luna might have kept that revival fluid on her. But that also might be way too easy. But it turns out Luna did throw that bottle, more than likely trying to self-revive, but it's clear that she missed. So just like Luna had thought, she tossed that bottle and missed, and it went off in the forest. The fluid shattered onto the ground, and that was pretty funny. But luckily, because of that broken bottle, Sukia was able to find them. Because of the broken bottle, Sukia was able to find where they were located. But it is pretty funny that that Luna did try and she still missed. But obviously, again, it couldn't be that simple. But although she found her friends, Sukia realizes that there's no more revival fluid, and she wants to cry at the thought of being all alone until she realizes that there's no time for tears. Sukia's like, oh, I'm so alone, and she's still a child, you gotta remember that. But she's trying to toughen herself up. She's like, no, there's no time for that. Like, Senku already went through this. I've already given myself a pep talk. As long as her friends are with her, she will guard them. And I love Sukia so much. Again, definitely S rank. Like, the fact that her friends are turned to stone. She knows her friends are rare. Her friends are staying conscious. They're just turned to stone. And so she's like, as long as they're around me, you know, they're still with me. Not just in spirit, they're physically here. I also love this epic panel of all of them turned to stone, looking down at her, as though they're smiling. And I love that Sukia is, like, it's almost like they're smiling at her and looking down at her proudly. I really love that. It's a great shot. Let me make sure I showed it off for a few seconds as well. But then Sukia realizes something else, something that Senku had taught her a long time ago. Science is to teach others and pass down those lessons pass the lessons down to one another. Previously, she had found a piece of paper on Senku. I didn't mention that in previous notes because I figured it would come back into play. But she also found a map on Chelsea, which she thought was useless until she put the two together. They left behind all the steps for her to make a revival fluid. And I was like, oh my god, the ending of these chapters cannot get any better. Like, they just keep, every ending of these chapters so far have been like one higher tier level than the other of like greatness. I couldn't help but cry tears of joy for Sukia. Like, I was just like, I feel you, Sukia. Sukia is so happy in this moment. I also love how she copies Senku's shirt design, putting Einstein's equation on her. It was very fucking great. I really love that. The E equals MC squared. The only problem remains is that it's still confusing for her, being that she's a child and only recently learned about reading and writing. That happened like sometime after the Stone Wars. That, like, you know, Yuzu had started a class and was teaching the kids how to read and write. But she sure helped us when we gave her a task to do, so we know that Sukia is willing to put in the work. Like, Sukia has always been there to help us whenever we need her to do something. So Sukia is just reaching a new level. So, she also finds that there are 3 ways to make revival fluid, but she says option 3 is going to take way too long, so she rips that out. Obviously, option 3 is going to be the option that she's going to go with, but she's like, it's going to take way too long. But it's obviously a teaser to option 3. Whatever it is going to be the one we use. We then get a hilarious montage of Sukia trying her best with her first science project, but is failing miserably. Or first 2 science projects, so she fails miserably. So then she's like, all right, we're going back to option 3. Obviously, the first thing that she found, or the first thing we had saw and was referenced, that she's like, okay, I'm not doing that. That's going to take way too long. But the first thing she finds that she needs is poop, and she makes this hilarious face like, what the fuck? Poop? And I was just like, that'd be my face too if I had to use poop. And we did use poop in the Kingdom of Petrification to make a stink bomb that scared off the villagers, so we know that poop. And I believe poop was also used to like make soap at one point. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but I do, if I'm remembering right, poop was used to make soap. But yeah, it was fucking hilarious to see that reaction. It gives me that vibes from Attack on Titan, you know, when the character's like, huh? And Attack on Titan, that shit always makes me laugh. I'm gonna clip that in here too.
Yeah, that should work, right?
Connie.
No, that won't work at all. You're way too much of an idiot.
Eh?
Use your head, Connie. This is a really important duty, and we can't entrust it to someone who's slow like you.
Huh?
You really get my goat sometimes. I'll inherit it, okay? I'm an experienced veteran, and I've proven that I'm someone you can rely on. By process of elimination, you've got to use me.
You guys.
I get that I have to, but still I really don't wanna.
Sasha, wait. You're not making any sense.
Huh?
I mean, you know, we can't give his Titan to an idiot. You just told me that. But think, you're more of an idiot than me, which means you just contradicted yourself, right?
Huh?
Huh?
We're thinking a complicated montage, but I'll just show you the drawing that she made of the steps that she needs to do. We usually see this in Dr. Stone when Senku shows out everything that we need to do, and I'm not going to bother trying to explain all of it. Just go ahead and take a look at it if you want to. In the end, though, we learned it takes her 7 years to create revival fluid. But in the end, off screen, we can now see that she must have done it because Senku is awakened. And what would you know? Sukia is older. She looks like a brand new character, but she's still so fucking cute, and I love it. Sukia looks so innocent. I think she's like 12 years old now. But I had speculated that Sukia would be older. I had speculated by the time that Sukia revived everybody, she would be older. So I really love that. And in the end, that's what we learned. The 7 years have passed, and I felt so bad that she was alone for 7 long years. And the reunion that Sukia has with Senku is pretty great. It's pretty cute. She's like, you probably don't even recognize me anymore, do you? And Senku's like, what are you talking about? You're Sukia. Of course I know who you are. Very fucking cute. Very fucking great. Very fucking epic chapters of Dr. Stone. So that's where I ended these chapters. What can happen from here? Speculation is that Senku and Sukia are going to revive everybody else. What can go on from there? I have no idea, because they still need a million people to create the spaceship, and then we also have to create, what was it called? Aluminum City or something like that? Petroleum City. We still have to create another city as well. So we'll have to just see what happens, because I have no idea what happens from here. Anyways, guys, that's all for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Sorry this video was kind of messy. Again, I try to use my own thoughts before I use my notes, but I sometimes draw my notes. But I hope you guys have been enjoying this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the Stone. Let me know what you think about that Stone in the comments below. Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Talk to you later for now. Bye.